Hello everyone, I am Thiago Soares. I am a professional dancer and also a choreographer. And I'm here today to talk to you about Giselle. Giselle is one of the most successful classical and romantic productions of all times. This production was first performed in France, exactly in Paris in 1841. In the 28th of June, and the first ballerina who performed the role of Giselle, it was Carlotta Grisi, a well-known ballerina at the time. This production was choreographed by two choreographers, Gian Corale and Jules Perrot, in partnership. And the music was created by Adolphe Adam, especially for this production. It was tailored for it. And it was based on a libretto by Théophile Gautier, based on a German book about willies, women ghosts. This production is a production that has the DNA of the Romanticism. Romanticism were a movement in the arts that were very present on literature, music, dance, fashion, and had a specific signatures on to tell the stories of tragical love experiences, and also surrealism, places where you were dreaming perhaps after death, and stories like this, stories of ghosts, stories of transcended characters, and the belief of something bigger than what was natural and what actually exists. Giselle is a story of a peasant girl, very happy, lovely, and wonderful, charismatic, naive, as well as fragile, as she have a heart problem. So that beautiful girl, Giselle, meets Albrecht, who is a nobleman with a military title, rich, who pretends to be a peasant just like her in order to get to know her and to perhaps flirt or play and romance or whatever those intentions are. And he comes to this village and pretends to be this simple man and connect with her and get her attention. On this village, there is another role which is very important, is Hilarion, who is a god of the village. He's somebody who has some authority towards everybody, and he kind of helps everyone. And he is the one that truly loves Giselle and understand that in some point he would end up with a relationship with her or something like that. So Hilarion is the one that realizes that something is not legit with Albrecht, and decided to spy on them, on their romance, and eventually to tell everybody that he was lying. He's not a peasant and he's a nobleman. So also in this story, there are some important characters, such as the mother of Giselle, Berthe, who is a character that tells the village and tells everybody whenever she can that Giselle cannot dance too much and that Giselle needed to rest and be calm. And as well is a very beautiful, strong women figure characters, as she is always there to protect the daughter and in the way to tell everybody what she needs and what the daughter needs. She's really a defender of the daughter. Also, that is the role of Bathilde, who is a noble princess who will marry Albrecht, but nobody knows that in the story until the scandal that Hilarion tells everybody that Albrecht is a false identity man, and then Bathilde arrives and tells that, but this is my man, this is somebody that I will get married. So that's when the whole scandal happened in the village in Act One. And because of the stress in front of everybody, the nobility and also the peasants, Giselle cannot take the scandal, she cannot take the embarrassment, and she has a heart attack and pass away, unfortunately. And that's the beginning of the trauma in Act One. So in Act Two, the story happens in the cemetery and by Giselle's grief. And Albrecht comes to the cemetery guilty of his act to leave some flowers for Giselle and with some forgiveness thoughts. And Giselle appears in a surrealism way to connect with him. And they start some connections, some dancing, some mime exchange. And Mirta, the queen of the Willies, decided to tell Albrecht that he will dance until he will die. This role is the most featured in Act Two, and as I say, is the queen of the Willies, is the queen of all those women that were lied to, that were betrayed, and that suffer some horrible love tragedy. And those are part of a group. They punish men at night. So even though with everything that happened, Giselle appears as a ghost and decided to protect Albrecht and to protect his life. So this becomes a battle of Mirta and Albrecht. Mirta forcing him to dance until he is exhausted, and Albrecht being protected by Giselle and her pure soul. So the ballet finishes as the sun comes out and the Willies disappear, because when the sun comes out, they disappear. The ghost goes away, and he is safe then. And it's a beautiful message of unconditional love by Giselle and truly lover and a truly bigger person, bigger soul. So that's the pattern of the story. But if you break through and we talk a little bit about other things that I think that is relevant, and well, the first thing to me is that in terms of the production, this is a production that was done in collaboration. It was in a collaboration by the commission, originally in the theater in France, by the director of the company at the time, by choreographers in collaboration, by a music that was tailored for the ballet. What can I say about that? When the music is tailored, basically every character has your own phrase. So each feature character have their own steps, and when you hear it, you know it's their music. And for that creates a narrative with much more dimension, and you really feel for them and you get to know them more, because every time their music appears, you know that's Giselle's voice, you know that's Hilarion steps, you know that's Albrecht. So in my opinion, that's truly an amazing choice to tailor music like that with such a care in order to have a very successful production. And still about that, I think the fact that there were so many people with a lot of experience collaborating for one production, this is really a recipe for success when these people collaborated well. And if you look at all those big classical productions, and you look at the names, you look at who was who, and you understand there was always a big collaboration with people with a lot of experience. So that's really bring my attention to it, that if you wanted to try to think of a big production. Obviously, it's, you know, to get something right, such as like Giselle, it probably takes quite a genius work, but still, collaboration is everything in creation, and to create a proper big narrative such as this one, in my opinion. Another thing is that the romanticism. I think the idea of get stories out of books that represent a particular period in the arts and has a particular DNA, to me is incredible. And there are specific things such as, you know, the exchange of Act 1, where you are in a sunny village and everybody's real and they exist and you know them and you can see they are alive and they are part of a world that perhaps the audience knows that world very well, in exchange to a second act where you don't know if that's real or not. You don't know if those characters are actually flying or they are walking, and there is this sense of, you know, the romantic tutus of the ballerinas, this flow that they have, this beautiful flow, which gives that idea of slow in time, and also the point shoes. At the time, those steps, they were new steps, and the way, you know, the ballerinas were floating around the stage through small pas de bourrées, and as well with the costume, the combination of that with the sets and the idea of tragic love stories that really hurt and that really mark someone's life. That's all aspects of the DNA of the romanticism, and I think it was very intelligent to have something with such a special signature, put it in a dance piece, and to be there so evident to us. I think that's one of the key things for this production, to have such a charm and such a iconic style. Other thing that I find extremely amazing to know is that some of those pieces created, if you look at, for example, the peasant pas de deux, which is a pas de deux of Act 1, when some peasants, they do a festive number, and it's quite virtuoso and quite beautiful, the dancing, and difficult to perform as well because it's very technical. And apparently that wasn't supposed to be there, the pas de deux. It's supposed to be a group number, but a sponsor at the time who was supporting the production wanted to promote a dancer that they believe was really good, and they invest more money, and they also put some pressure in the choreographers for that to be there. So then the choreographers accepted the challenge and decided to create a special pas de deux for this ballerina, and that stays as a very successful piece of dancing in Giselle, and everybody know that one. So those peculiar things with sponsors and with decisions that were made and challenge that was made as well, because that was definitely a challenge for a choreographer to be presented with that, and actually to do something to become very successful as well. That's amazing, in my opinion. And you never knew that some of those roles, they were created that way, and they will put it in that way. And to me, it seems that those productions, they were absolutely untouchable, but they were not. And there were people suggesting, asking to change, and liking, not liking, and that is really interesting for us to know, and for us to know that, you know, those masterpieces, they had peculiarities as well. Another thing is that this is a ballet that the majority of dancers, they always wanted to dance, because it's beautiful to dance, the music is wonderful, and that is a journey in narrative. You are as well as a great dancer when you're dancing, but also you need to be a great actor. So allowed you to marry in the best way theater and dance. And this to me is an absolutely joy to be able to perform, to be able to see this production. The roles are roles for well featured and good technician dancers, and require everything of the ballet technique, and also is a role, the majority of the roles, they are roles that are very serious, and you have to study them for a certain time for you to get into your body what the characters need to say. This is a piece for a whole company in 2 acts, and you need an amazing corps de ballet, especially the girls in Act 2, with proper ballet technique, on point shoes, and you need very well good dancers in a high level for the rest of the roles. The major roles, the more featured roles, are Giselle, the peasant girl, Albrecht, the Duke of Silesia, Hilarion, a guard of the forest, Berthe, the mother of Giselle, Bathilde, the princess, whom is to marry Albrecht, Mirta, the queen of the Willies. And the sets of this ballet in Act 1 is supposed to be in Rhineland, in west of Germany, and in Act 2 is a cemetery somewhere in someone's dream, perhaps. And one last specific thing that I believe about this production is that it is a production that is atemporal. This production that is no validation, time, dates, because since when it was created, even though quite a long time ago, it only gets fresher, and dancers only wanted to do more, and the directors always wanted to put in their repertoire. So I believe that this is really a masterpiece of the ballet world, and it's something that we should preserve, take care, and watch and perform as much as we can. This is truly a privilege to have such a productions like this among us. And I think the last thing that I have to say that really touches me is that it's a production that is about women power. Giselle, from a naive, fragile, adorable girl, it becomes a saint, somebody with unconditional love, full of forgiveness, and truly love in her heart. So for that, I think it's a wonderful message this ballet has, and it's truly a masterpiece. Thank you so much, guys, and I see you next time.